Is it finally time to buy Bitcoin? In today's video, we are going to look at the lower term time frames on Bitcoin to try to decipher all this volatility and where price is going next. So without further ado, let's jump on into the charts. First things first, I just wanted to showcase real quick a couple trades I had in the past couple days. This one being a SUI short, 10x leverage, 51%. Very short-term trade this was, and these are scalps, by the way, just so you know, on 5-minute time frame usually. So this one happened shortly after Trump's suggestion to buy and the 90-day pause on tariffs, which obviously had a huge pump in the markets that was mostly retraced today. So we're going to look at what that means and how it affects price so far. Also, just peep the time on this trade. This is a 21% trade, and I held it for 20 seconds. So moving on from that, super stoked about that actually. I'm going to show you exactly how we can make those critical scalps when you are essentially just ranging and lots of aggressive swings to the upside and downside, which essentially makes leverage trading very, very difficult. And one thing I don't recommend anyone using 33% leverage. If you did take a look at that, even 10x leverage can essentially wipe people's entire portfolio out. That is why you need proper risk management. That is why you're never risking the whole bag on those trades. And essentially when price moves very, very aggressively and it's fueled by something such as the tariffs, which people have been very sensitive towards, it's easier for you to just jump in on low time frame, make those gains, jump out and bank them, put your stop loss to break even, and that's it. So now, without further ado, jumping into Bitcoin, I'm just going to lower this for now because you don't really need to know what that is. So Bitcoin has been chopping around, and we were looking for some kind of base to form below this previous range. So right now we're essentially just ranging 90K to the upside, and then the former consolidation highs coming in around 74K, essentially being exactly our current low. So what we have on the daily time frame that we've been constantly keeping an eye on in the background is what's called a triple tap or a triple bottom formation. So we have a bottom, like essentially a bounce zone here, a bounce zone here, and then what appears to be another little bounce zone here. So that is accompanied by the RSI. And the RSI currently has, I just totally lost my place. Okay, so we're looking at the RSI approximately in this zone. So here we have 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice that each of these lows are gradually climbing. So low, higher low, higher low. And what does that make when we have higher lows on RSI and lower lows on price? Well, that is bullish divergence on a daily time frame, 3 drives of it. Triple tap bottom. This looks really, really good for a potential reversal coming. We also have good volume coming in at this bottom, and you do expect volatility when you approach a bottom, and that's exactly why, or what we're getting essentially in the market on lower term time frames. If you're following stocks at all, you'll know that the last few days have been very, very aggressive, just swings up and down, essentially for the percentiles. Like peak the percentile on Bitcoin, the loss 3.6%. Look at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, 3.4, 4.19. The stock market is essentially getting more aggressive volatile swings than Bitcoin, which is something I think is a first in its history of price action. But you do see volatility come in at a bottom. It's essentially just to wipe out all of the leveraged positions before going higher. That being in Bitcoin. In stocks, essentially you just get the same type of volatile bottom because you're seeking liquidity lower and people are loading the bag, essentially large money buying, pushing up, and then panic selling coming back down into the range. So what does this mean? Going back to Bitcoin on the daily, so we do have our triple tap, 3 drives of bullish divergence forming on the daily. So we go to lower turn time frames to try to seek out nominal entry points so that we can ride this greater move to the upside at the nominal entry point. So essentially, if you look at these last few days of price action, this nice W bottom that has formed here, what I'm looking for here is for the price to actually reclaim this breakdown level. So we had kind of some consolidation form here, and then right here where price rounded off, that essentially is where price broke where it was previously finding its support zone. So now we have had a drive up to retest where we broke down from. That drive failed, so now I'd be looking for price to come back down and test these lows once again. If you can hold that, if price comes down on this 4 hour, forms another bottom here, then I would say that essentially 100% is your bottom. You'll essentially have 3 drives on the daily of bullish divergence, and then you possibly could have 3 drives on the 4 hour of bullish divergence. I don't even know if price is going to actually come down that low and match these lows as it has. But either way, if price breaches these lows, then I'd be looking for a bounce to confirm that bullish divergence. But if RSI also comes down aggressively, as price comes down aggressively, then I think something else is taking place, and I do think you could actually see lower prices. You could actually go for this liquidity where we initially bounced off of here, and that's around 68K. So keep that in mind if you are getting 4 hour closures below 76, more importantly below 74, then I would say it's highly likely that you're going to test that 69, 68K region on lower time frames. Do I think that is a good opportunity to buy the dip? Absolutely. Any retest of a former breakout is essentially a good opportunity for a long, not financial advice, but we are looking for nominal entries. So if you're trading, swing trading, or looking for longs to be open on a daily time frame, then to me this is the best time zone, the 4 hour, to look for those entry points. You get that triple tap confirmation on the 4 hour, that is a nice bump and run, and then you are going back quite aggressively to the upside. So that's to watch out for. Again, you lose these lows, something else is going on, and just be mindful of your position as that happens. If we do start to come up more quickly, if I can get the right tool going, essentially just moving this. If we start to come up more quickly in price and bounce higher, and we don't take out any of these wicks down here, then I do think price is going to move up more quickly and more aggressively to the upside, taking out all these former highs that found resistance, and then essentially moving back within this 90K range would be very, very bullish structure for me. So that is what we are watching out for on Bitcoin on the 4 hour and on the daily time frame. Obviously, if you do want to trade these lower turn time frame scalps, I can give you a simple strategy to do so. So here we have the 5-minute time frame, and we're bringing up now what's known as market cipher. Let me just get my face out of the way. So market cipher essentially has 4 different metrics built into one neat little graph on TradingView. This indicator paired with the BBWP, which I like to use, which measures volatility expansion, and the RSI. Those 3 indicators to me is all you're ever going to need. High turn time frame, low turn time frame, whichever you choose, this works for all. So now we're essentially looking in the midpoint of this graph. You'll see a red band followed by a green band. That's money flow. We pay high attention to money flow, and these blue momentum waves, which represents momentum. Seriously, this stuff gets pretty dry. And then we have RSI in these dual lines, and then we do have a version of VWAP in the yellow waves. So the main thing I want to look for, and we're actually kind of getting this right now on the 5 minutes. So this pattern here on the 5-minute, we have slightly higher highs. We're failing to reclaim those higher highs. Now we have our first higher low. Essentially, this looks like it's just going to roll over and sweep all of this liquidity heading for these lows down here, back around 78.5K. So on the 5-minute, you want to see essentially money flow, which is a green, curl over, which is exactly what we're doing. You want to see the momentum waves not reaching quite as high. So here we have the first momentum wave with a red dot, which represents kind of selling or sell pressure, and then our second red dot down here. So these instances all paired together, along with the BBWP coming off of lows. So what do you call lows, or what do you identify as a low? Well, essentially when you're below 15 percentile, here we're below 15 percentile. It's even more useful when you have these blue vertical bars. It represents extreme lows in volatility. So once you get down to those extreme lows, and then you expand off those lows, you get this blue cyan expansion, and you come above 15 percentile, which is actually what we're doing right now. That paired with, if I can get out of here, that paired with money flow, paired with momentum coming down, paired with RSI in a negative posturing, which we like to use this 42 point. We're crashing through there right now. That represents negative posturing. All of these things paired together represent a short. The nominal entry for the short would be on this lower high when you get this red dot, essentially right about here. Then you can choose your risk reward. Essentially your stop loss would be above any of these highs, and you'd be targeting essentially all of this slightly higher highs. You'd be targeting the origin of this rising move, which to me would be probably this pocket of support right here where you have this price testing it and breaking out from. So we're just going to measure up to that, and that'll be our take profit. And look at that, it is a 2.2 risk to reward, which means essentially your potential gain is 2.2 times your potential loss of this trade. So you can manage your risk accordingly based on that. This is also when you get volatility expansion, this usually happens quite quickly. So this on the 5-minute, you're only going to be holding this for probably like 15 minutes or until price hits your take profit, but it usually happens pretty quick when you get that expansion and you are trading low time frames. This pattern that took place here is essentially what we took our trade on Ethereum today on a higher term time frame. So we're essentially, I think I spotted this on the 15-minute, but it's also here on the 5. Essentially we had these higher highs starting to form up here, and then your first higher low. You had your money flow rolling over, you had your momentum waves coming down. Here essentially would have been a good entry. You also got another red dot here as a late entry, which if I could mark off, you would have shorted if you came in late about here. And again, setting your risk reward. If I can bring this trade into the map here. Setting your stop loss above the high, setting the position down, sweeping these lows. That's a 1.39. Not as good risk to reward, but ultimately breaking this structure would lead to price retracing this vertical movement. So I would look for the first point of support there. So there is a better risk to reward trade. And as you can see, that actually played out today. I'm still holding this Ethereum short because I do think Ethereum is very weak in the market, and essentially it's about to roll over again on lower term time frames. So holding that position for lower prices. So that is Bitcoin and Ethereum on 4-hour all the way down to 5-minute. So anyway, I hope you are staying safe in the market. I hope this gave you some insight as to potential trades you could take in the future. Now, none of these positions that I suggest are to be taken as financial advice, but I do present them to you as opportunities, and if you should choose to take that opportunity, then seize that moment. But that's going to do it for me. I'm Crypto Neil. I hope you're staying safe in this market, and I hope you are learning and growing and prospering in this day trading adventure. So till next time, I'm Crypto Neil. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.